Welcome to the first episode of the Goosebumps
gang.
The
Goosey gang.
Just guys talking bumps.
Guys
talking.
The guy bumps.
There's not really.
Oh no, not that.
Yeah, maybe not guy bumps. There's not a name for it, but
there will be.
Yeah, there will be. Hopefully,
at some point.
So what are we doing here, guys? We're talking.
It's like The Talking Dead, except instead of a good TV show, we're watching R.L. Stein's Goosebumps.
First of all, I don't know if I'd call The Walking Dead a good TV.
Okay, that's fair. Right, so there's already 2 points of contention right now.
I think we need to go around and say who we are.
That's a good point.
We could identify ourselves, sure.
Why don't you start, Mr.
Yeah,
Identifier?
Why don't you speak a little louder?
I am. My name is Scott Larsen.
Woo!
Woo! Everybody welcome Scott Larsen to the podcast.
There's a live audience.
I am...
Are you single?
I was trying to think of like...
But are you ready to mingle?
I was trying to think like... What are our qualifications for us talking
ASL?
about this?
What's your background with Goosebumps?
Background with Goosebumps. I was always aware of what the books and like the TV show and like the little spin-off movie things were. And as much as I was into like spooky stuff as a kid, I never really read any of the books or saw the show until I started hanging out with 2 other members of this show, Cole and Kai.
Yeah.
And it was past the age where, I was going to get scared by anything, but like the idea of like an anthology horror series for kids is definitely something I should have looked more into when I was a kid. So
cool.
Not a whole lot of like deep background with the show. But I've always been aware of it and kind of been, like, at least interested. So, yeah.
All right. Kai, would you like to... I guess let's just go around the table.
My name's Kai. I have all of the Goosebumps Horrorland books, I think.
But do you have the original run of Goosebumps? That's the real
No, I mean, I wasn't... I mean, those were... The original one was, like, in the 90s. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I was even an idea in my parents' head at that time. So,
that's fair.
But no, I'm a big Goosebumps boy. I even had a little coloring book of it where it'll teach you how to draw the characters. Oh. So I drew Slappy one time.
That's a real Bumps fan right there.
Yeah,
he's a Bumps.
I'm a real Bumpy
He's a Bumps
boy.
head. We're the Bump heads.
I'm a Bumpy boy.
That's the name of this. We're the Bump heads.
The Bumps.
The Grateful Bumps.
The Grateful Bumps.
Yeah.
The Grateful Goose.
I like it. But yeah, it's a classic. Got me into horror. And that's all I have to say.
Definitely. Because like when you're a kid and you read these books,
they're pretty entertaining.
They're pretty spooky.
They're pretty fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was definitely my gateway into horror. Lucas, do you wanna?
Yeah. So I'm Lucas Levin. The thing is I didn't read the Goosebump books like at all when I was a kid. I'm probably the least experienced horror fanatic here. I just started watching horror movies and stuff like that. Stop. But I've seen the Goosebumps TV show. Like, I've seen parts of it. But, the Goosebumps books for me were always, like, those books that are just, like, in everybody's home. And you just, like, go and you're like, how did they get here? Like, maybe that's the biggest Goosebump of all. Is all the books. The books just appear
The
in
real
people's
Goosebumps are the friends we need.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I'm not really qualified, so I'm probably going to make a lot of hot takes.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. We need fresh eyes here, too.
Fresh eyes, yeah. So
we got like the newbies versus the old timers.
Old heads.
The old timers, yeah.
New school and the old heads.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen a couple episodes. There's one episode in particular that I'm really excited to see again, and I'm waiting for.
Okay.
But I've seen some of the TV show. I remember being like kind of frightened by the intro music because it was just like so like. And I was like, ah.
Yeah.
It gave me goosebumps.
Oh, I see.
I'm still giving you one more offer for me to do the voice of... To do the theme.
We'll talk about this later. All right, just to round out our introduction.
Yes.
Round out our cast of characters here. I'm Cole Seager.
Ooh.
I read a lot of Goosebumps books as a kid. I have a particularly vivid memory of reading the book Say Cheese and Die, and I was in bed
Screaming.
I was in bed. It was late at night. And I was fucking drenched in sweat.
That's just how I normally say it.
No, it was just so... I don't even remember why. It was just frightening to me.
Yeah.
And then the other memory I always associate with Goosebumps is when Kai and I were in first grade. Because Kai and I have known each other since first grade.
I didn't meet you till
he
last
doesn't
year.
want it to be.
No.
He doesn't want it
Nah.
to be.
Nobody needs to know about my history.
He's the mysterious one. He didn't even say his last name.
I'm just gonna say, when we were in first grade, I have so many memories of us standing in the little Goosebumps books section of the library, the school library, and just looking at the covers and talking about these books.
Facts.
That's so funny. I remember going to those scholastic book fairs and seeing those and being oh, I'm gonna get this, and being too much of a baby to do it.
And I would.
And I would do it.
And I got a little glow in the dark little wolf thing one time. You think it's a joke, but I'm not joking. It's really cool.
So the episode of Goosebumps that we watched today was the first. It was actually the first part of the first sort of 2-episode.
Yeah, they decided for their first episode they're gonna go with the 2-parter.
They're gonna make it 2 parts. Yeah. So we watched The Haunted Mask Part 1. Ooh. I don't know. Does anyone want to start the recap of it? So who are our characters here? Who do we have?
We got Carly Beth.
We have Carly
Beth. That's right.
Her friend Sabrina.
Mm-hmm.
Guy who looks like Ryan Murphy and Bill Maher.
I don't. So can somebody?
Man with skin condition.
Yeah.
Shop owner with skin condition.
He has some eczema.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. What is that supposed to be?
It's probably going to be a thing in the next episode. Once we find out in part 2, that's going to be chemicals they spilled.
Yeah, my prediction was going to be an acid burn.
He's probably, or he's becoming a mask himself.
He was dropping acid as a youth in the woods.
Because that might make sense because they have the Carly Beth mask head thing, so it's it's all I don't know.
And then there's Steve and who?
Chuck?
Chuck and Steve.
Chuck and Steve. They're the real tricksters.
Wasn't that that Zac Efron and Adam Devine movie that came out? Chuck and Steve.
Mike and Dave.
Mike and Dave.
Oh, I thought I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
Oh, yeah, that one too.
It's my favorite Zac Efron movie. I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
It starts with Carly Beth and
Sabrina. Our girls.
They're right outside the mask store. Right?
Yeah. They're walking. I think it's called Novelty Shop. That is the title.
They're
it's
outside
called
of the Novelty Shop.
Also,
the word magic is up on the.
Oh, somewhere in there.
I think it's some sort of
I think we forget that the episode opens up with R.L. Stein.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah,
okay.
and it's not Jack Black.
His Alfred Hitchcock presents
yes.
Yeah, it opens with R.L. Stein, and then he's very monotone because he's an author, and his contract was you need to speak in front of the camera, and he's I don't do that. I write books.
So what we get is. Hi, I'm R.L. Stein, writer of the Goosebumps.
Yeah, it's literally that.
I think it's pretty good.
Yo, I love his introductions. He doesn't introduce every episode, but sometimes he'll come in with... I think because this is the first one.
Yeah, they're
you gotta set it up.
We got it, yeah.
Right.
You gotta put the Stein in.
You gotta throw the Stein in. You gotta throw that Stein stank on it.
So after R.L. Stein introduces us, R.L. Stein, who looks... he should not be a children's book author. Once he introduces... I love the man, but he looks like he should not be a children's book author. Once he introduces us to the episode, we meet Sabrina and Carly Beth.
They're walking down their Connecticut, Massachusetts area-looking neighborhood.
Well, this show is actually... Yeah, I was going to say this show is actually... I believe shot primarily in Canada. I think these are I think it's
actually,
Canadian
the east coast of the North America.
Filming locations: Toronto, Ontario,
That makes
Canada.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so they're in this Canadian neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And across the street from the novelty shop, apparently,
Yes.
is a pumpkin patch.
Yes, it doesn't really go. It's not very clear.
It doesn't look...
They are at the novelty shop and they look in, they see the masks, and Carly,
And we see our villain, Bill Maher.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
It's like, I keep wanting to say that. That's why I can't.
Carly Rae.
Carly Rae, whatever her name is. She's like, math. And they're all like, you're a big scaredy cat, Carly.
Yeah.
And then they're like, whatever, let's go pick pumpkins. And then they just walk into somebody's backyard. And then they go, it smells like it's rotting. And it's like, well, you're in a random pumpkin patch. This is not those ones that you see at churches. That's the thing, too,
is like, this looks like someone's yard that they covered in hay and stuck a couple of pumpkins in.
I mean, I think it is, because I think you see Bill Maher in that house.
Yeah,
he's looking through them through the window of that house.
Afterwards where he's looking at
He's watching them the whole time, apparently.
He lives across the street from his novelty store, I think.
Yeah.
Or no, what?
His novelty, is that...
I thought he was still in the novelty.
They get scared in the window of the masks. Mm-hmm. He looks out the window, very creepy, all like.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to them in the thing, and then they're like, it smells rotten. And then they go and and she's like, just pick out a pumpkin already. And then Chuck and Steve, I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry, pop up from the pump. Like, they're literally buried.
Yeah. Chuck has on a pumpkin mask, buried under hay.
Yeah.
Waiting have on these pumpkin masks.
Well, it was...
But the funny thing
Were they both buried under hay?
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, maybe. I don't know. But they were both there in pumpkin
hiding
masks.
in this random ass.
And the thing is that like Sabrina, like a couple seconds earlier, like pranks Carly Rae Jepsen, and then the boys pop out, but Sabrina didn't even know about it.
Sabrina wasn't in on it.
So these guys were just hiding in a pumpkin patch at night.
Also, the way Sabrina reacts to it is that she doesn't. Like Carly Beth is having her shit fucked with.
Yeah.
And Sabrina is standing there saying nothing, not reacting.
Like,
and then,
come on, guys.
Yeah, it's only after the fact that she was like, that wasn't cool, guys.
Yeah.
It's like, why didn't you say anything when they popped up?
Literally.
Because the pumpkin head men just popped up out of the ground.
That's true. She was too shocked.
It
was a great pumpkin.
She was petrified.
Now that we've established that Carly Beth is a big scaredy cat, and there's a novelty shop
with a man with eczema.
And across the street from his novelty shop, apparently, is a pumpkin patch that is a yard covered in hay with like 5 pumpkins.
She goes home, right?
She goes home after this. Right.
And her mom interrogates her. Her mom's like, hey, what's wrong? And then grabs her and goes, hey, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, Mom, I'm fine. Like, most tweens do.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like the looking away, like, no, I'm fine. I don't want to talk about it.
Exactly. And then what happens?
There's the statue, the bust of her head.
Yes, her mother made it in art class.
But it's not even like really like a bust.
No,
it's like a ceramic figure. It's weird.
Is it? We don't really know what material this is made out of because it looks rubber.
It seemed kind of heavy.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't look like glass, but like it definitely looks like if she like just opened. Like if she was holding it and just dropped it, it would probably shatter. That was my impression.
It's apparently supposed to be like photorealistic because because Carly Rae Jepsen's all like, hey yo, this looks just like me, but it's very much not because it's a low budget TV show.
It doesn't. It looks like her if she was like a Barbie doll or something.
Right, exactly.
If she wasn't a real human.
Yeah.
Right.
And then basically her mom's like, you should go check out your Halloween costume because there's this party that you're going to or something, right?
Yeah.
Or you're gonna go trick or treating.
Go look at your
She's hanging out with Sabrina, I think.
Yeah, the next day or something.
Yeah. So what we get next is her Carly Rae Jepsen going up the stairs. Oh, her mom is like, I finished your duck costume.
Yeah, duck costume. And then...
So her mom made her. This is a homemade duck costume.
I think the funniest thing is that we had to turn on subtitles like midway through, and you just, on the subtitles, it just goes, it just says, quack, quack. Quack, quack. You can't hear it, so you can only assume someone is whispering.
Right.
Quack, quack.
Also, it's the most unenthusiastic quacking I've ever heard, too. like the child actor who's making the quacking noises, even he didn't want.
Yeah, they're like, okay, now start quacking. Quack, quack, quack. Like,
I don't get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're like, what's my motivation? Like, you are 8. Just fucking quack.
You're pranking your scaredy cat sister, dude.
So basically she hears this quacking, and it's supposed to be set up like this horror movie where she's like going up to the quacking. Mm-hmm. She opens the door and her brother attacks her.
But like he was just waiting in her room
with the duck costume.
Fully in this duck costume.
With the duck costume on.
That's the thing with this episode is so far we've just had like a lot of people waiting non-specific amounts of time to scare Carly Beth.
People really fucking hate her. You see that later on in the episode too.
Look, you may call it bullying. I call it committing to the bit.
Yeah, they committed.
Yeah. No, I admire
They
it.
they
were assaulting her.
They really fully
fucked up.
I think the scene that we're describing, it's therapy for R.L. Stine. The one time in his childhood when he got attacked by a duck in the park.
He's like, this will show that fucking duck.
I'm gonna write this into my TV show that I don't think he actually
his book. His book.
Yeah.
Is it in the book? I haven't read these books in a long time.
Yeah, it's canon.
Okay.
In the Stein universe.
Refer to the Goosepedia, please.
Is that actually?
I don't know if that's a thing. I hope that's a thing.
Yeah.
Paul, look it up. That's our.
Oh yeah, we have a 5th member.
We also forgot that there's a live audience here.
Yeah,
but they're here.
Hey, can we get a round of applause from the audience? Oh, thank you.
Cut! So after she gets scared by the duck.
Mm-hmm. Her brother, who's dressed in her fursuit that her mom made.
She's a bitch.
He keeps the unenthusiastic quacking going, and then she pulls off the mask, and he goes, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha!
And that's enthusiastic.
And that's pretty good. That's where he gets his motivation.
And the shocking thing is that he actually did get her.
So you can see that he got her.
Oh, yeah.
She gets got.
There's a gotcha cam.
Yeah. It cuts to it.
And she's like,
you were on gotcha!
The guys from the Impractical Jokers are like, okay, now jump out through the door and attack her.
Yeah. While quacking.
They're like, Ryan has been waiting 3 hours for Carly Beth to come home. Are you ready, Ryan? Here she comes.
Yeah.
Start quacking now.
But, okay, so she gets quacked at. She's, like, really upset. She goes and cries in her bed. And then next day at school, she's at lunch with Sabrina again. Mm-hmm.
They're eating.
And I Pronounce You Chuck and Larry show up.
Right.
And they're like, and she's eating, and they're like, hey, yo, worm check. And they put a worm.
Hold on.
Okay.
First they go up and say, yo, Carly Beth,
right.
I'm really sorry for what we did last night. That was inhumane to scare you like that.
They set her up.
Yeah, you think, oh, okay, maybe they do feel bad about it. And then when Carly Beth is shocked, she's like, oh, thank you. She's distracted. One of them, he lifts up the bread on her sandwich and puts a fucking massive worm in it.
There's a worm in it. That's clearly like hanging out of both sides of her sandwich.
Yeah,
It's very obvious.
He didn't hide it.
Like she would see it.
It's also like a live thing, so it probably looks
It's swarming around.
Yeah. So then they retreat to watch the. They retreat to watch the results of their
They
prank.
stand back and stand by.
Oh yikes!
Probably would be part of that group, to be perfectly honest. Considering their actions towards women, I would not be fucking surprised.
Chuck and Steve are some fucking incels. So incel Proud Boys, Chuck and Steve are watching the results of this prank, and Carly Beth picks up her sandwich, which is now rigged with a worm.
Yeah.
Squirm.
And in the shot where she picks it up, you can't see the worm.
There's no worm
sticking
in
out
that
of the sandwich
sandwich.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's probably because the worm wrangler on set was like, you can't do that. The worm has rights.
Peter was like standing by, and they're like, okay, you can put the worm in the sandwich, but she can't actually eat it.
The worm cannot go in her mouth.
Yeah.
And they couldn't afford a prop worm because those were too expensive. So
The worm was a union actor is what we're getting.
Right.
fucking union actors.
They actually didn't know until the day of the shoot that they couldn't actually
Yeah.
Yeah,
Eat
they were
the
going to
worm.
exploit the worm actually originally.
Yeah. They were like, okay, maybe this is...
They was kind of capitalist in that nature.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yes, she eats that worm, and it turns out everyone they're not even in a cafeteria. They're outside in like a park,
Yeah.
eating lunch at school.
There's this like beautiful crunching sound when she bites into
Yeah, I didn't know if I imagined that, but okay, yeah.
It was nice, like a bone snapping.
Yeah.
And then...
Which is what worms sound like.
a string of bones.
Oh, God. Just one spine.
Yeah.
And the entire school starts laughing at her.
And she opens up the sandwich to reveal the worm,
Which has not been
bitten
at all. But
at
we still
all.
hear the crunch noise as
That
if it
boy
has
is
been.
still alive.
Maybe she just has a crunchy sandwich.
Also,
it was stale bread.
I was gonna bring this up. What the fuck was she eating? There was nothing.
I thought I saw like tuna spread on there.
Yeah, there
so
was
the
some
fish
sort of
so the worms shouldn't have mattered that much.
Yeah.
some sort of scallion.
Yeah, something gross. It's Canada.
She was eating fine seafood.
Those fucking
Fine
assholes.
Canadian seafood. Oh, it's probably poutine.
Fuck yeah.
Anyway, everybody apparently was in on the prank, and they all start laughing at her, including, I love this, there's one kid dressed up as a clown in the background for whatever, I guess it was supposed to be like a Halloween day at school, but nobody else is in costume.
Well, don't you know who that was?
That was it, wasn't it?
No, that was Joaquin Phoenix beginning his method acting for Joker.
He was actually comped in for the Netflix.
When did you
Netflix
think of
version.
that joke, Scott, to make?
As soon as I saw it,
Oh, it's
I was
Joaquin
like,
Phoenix.
I'm waiting to drop a Joker bomb on this episode.
Well, I love the way that the clown is revealed. Like
just
everyone's
there.
laughing, and then it just kind of like
pan.
pans to the right, and
There's a fucking clown
Yeah.
there.
And like once the clown's in frame, it just cuts away.
It's like they're like, oh shit, we got the clown kid in shot. Fuck.
What are you willing to bet that they were like,
the
we're
wardrobe.
filming this scene and it takes place around Halloween
I
time,
really thought this.
and the kid shows up.
I
full clown.
literally thought this. I really thought maybe they had the people whatever they thought would be right for the scene because it was like, oh, we'll save money on costuming. It's like,
because this was a low budget.
yeah,
Korean
it's a
kids
spooky
TV show.
episode. It's around Halloween, so you're at school. And it's like, oh, it's a Halloween episode. And he showed up in a clown, and so for his spooky costume, he was like, I'm gonna show up as the most obvious fucking thing, which is a clown with a blue wig on.
Right.
So that was the whole clown bit. But I guess
It's incredible, but not at all relevant.
Well, not yet, at least.
Not yet.
we don't know. It's still
You know,
part
Might come back.
The Chekhov's clown. I forgot about that.
But Carly Beth, that basically is like it for her.
That was the last.
that was the last straw. She snapped.
She's bringing a gun to school.
Well, she literally goes home and she goes, "This is the last time they'll scare me again." And then she grabs a fuck ton of money, $30, I should say.
No, you were right the first time.
Oh right, sorry, fuck ton of money.
In
and
this economy?
and she goes back to the old novelty shop.
Yield.
She's looking at all the masks, and first of all, she walks into the shop. It's open. It's a shop.
But it's like really dark.
It's really dark, and then the guy, eczema man,
didn't
comes
pay his
out,
bills.
and he goes, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" As if, customers shouldn't be in his
right.
shop.
And he's like, "We're closed." It's like, well, the door was wide
Yeah.
open. She
He
just
said that?
walked right in. Yeah. She's like, you can't
You
be
see
in
him
here.
put the close sign up after she leaves
Right, it
too.
wasn't
Yeah.
up.
What a fucking idiot.
And then we made the joke because he answers the phone, and we go, "What if he just does the exact same thing to the people on the phone?"
And he pretty much
he literally does. He goes, "I told you not to call here."
And this whole time she's looking at the masks on the back wall of the shop, and while he's on the phone, he's going like, what does he say? He's like, "I don't care about the customers.
Yeah.
This isn't about the customers."
And she says, "Fuck you," and goes into the back room after hearing that. I think that's really what her
the
character arc.
motivation.
It's implied. It's some subtext there. but
it's really well
after
written.
that, she opens up the back room door, and we see some scary masks.
some real goosebump worthy scariness.
And there's some beautiful 90s visual effects.
Oh my god.
Well, not yet.
Okay.
They will be there. They're in there.
They come
They're
up in a moment.
Yeah.
We can't blow our load too
She
fast.
recognizes the back room door is ajar, so she lets herself in, as she did with the shop.
Which
doesn't give a fuck
as
about
you would
herself.
with a shop that's
Which
open.
is how shops work.
Yeah. Going into the back room, not so much.
That one is questionable.
That one's questionable. That would have been better if he went, "Who are you? What are you doing?" Then, but instead he was like,
Usually, if I'm allowed in the the back room in a store
How
or
often
like
are
a
you
shop,
allowed in the back room of a shop?
let me finish. I'm conducting some business.
but she goes in and she sees a wall of busts similar to the one of her own head that she has from her. I think that's like the idea. Is it's like, oh, where are these busts? And they're like different.
They're like all out on a table.
Yeah, they're like different gobbledy-ghouls or something. You know what I mean? And she's like touching them and all shit. And she's like, what the fuck? She's like,
Different gabagools.
They're real gabagools. And then we get the 90s special effects, right? Where they all like kind of turn and like give like that weird smile, but you can kind of see the edge of like a blue screen.
And you see suddenly eyes are in there too.
Yeah,
eyes
right.
All of a sudden.
Yes.
And I really liked that, the eyes. I was like,
I love
it was effective.
I love that.
Yeah, it's good. I like eyes are scary to me in horror movies when you see it through a mask.
Yeah, they do like they do the same kind of like blue screen superimposition, imposing it over another shot. They do that same thing in like so many cheesy old horror movies. Like I'm thinking of Hausu, where there's so many scenes where they use that effect.
Lucas is like, yeah,
I've seen that.
this
Yeah,
one
I've seen that. I know what you're talking about.
We'll have a movie night one
Yeah,
day.
we'll show it
It's
to you.
a crazy movie.
That's a batshit crazy movie. But they use that same effect a lot.
Okay.
And it's such a great cheesy effect.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
I just love when you can always see like just the outer rim of the rotoing, where you can just see like you can just see like the blue.
You're
Yeah.
like, there's the rib.
Stop.
God.
Anyway, and then
He bursts in after that because she gives a little startle and he hears that. So
yeah, we said this entire thing that she's easily like very easily scared, and that's why she's like tired of the shit. 'Cause she wants to be the scarer now instead of the scary. So she's very much like I'm about to. I
mean, no, she literally is like, I'm bringing the AR-15 bump stock to school.
It's just the Bill Maher eczema face shopkeeper bursts open this back room, and he's like, "You can't be back here. These masks are too scary for the public."
yeah,
Like that's literally the explanation he gives.
But it's like he does that like classic like melodramatic. He's like, you can't have these masks. These ones are too scary. It's
like pause.
Yeah, it's like, and she's like, "But can I please have one, mister?" And she's like,
mister, just one mask.
Just one mask for me. I've got $30. It's all I have. He's like, "I'm sorry, these ones are not for sale." And then she just straight up yoinks the mask. Like,
She commits a...
she steals it, and then she throws the money at him. She's
moral.
So let's break down this action.
We're going
here.
a little fast, right?
Yeah, so we have to break this down. So she offers him the money, and he's like, "No, not for sale."
He's
It's like Macklemore. He's not in it for the money. He would have been a lawyer if he was.
Right.
He said
he doesn't care about the customers.
He's like, $30 is a lot of money. That would take me out of the black, but
can't
take me into the black.
Yeah, I was about to. Don't you
Into
want
the
to
black.
be in the black?
Yes, in the
Take him
black.
out of the red.
Take him out of the red into the black.
Okay, we're not marketing.
Right.
We're business people here.
Yeah, this is a podcast.
You can tell
about
because I
Goosebumps.
confused marketing and business.
Who now?
Who?
Nothing.
So he rejects her money, and then she goes, "Well, okay," and she kind of like starts walking to the door, and then she spins around, and she pulls off one of the masks, and the guy lunges for her to grab her.
Oh, right.
And he does this like most. It's like the most.
Walks by.
Yeah, it's like such a Laurel and Hardy like, "Oh, just barely missed her."
I think we also need to acknowledge the fact that the mask that she chooses and like the most prolific of that like collection of masks there looks like the Green Goblin from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
It looks very much like the Green Goblin. Yeah,
She steals the Green Goblin.
she steals Sam Raimi's Green
She
Goblin
steals Alfred Molina's arms.
from Spider-Man 2. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2.
That's in the next part.
Yeah,
in
that's the second.
We're
This is
on the
actually
Willem Dafoe section of characters right now.
Yeah, so she steals the mask and she's like, "We can rule this city, Spider-Man."
yeah.
And she says, "Hold on, though. I'm not an awful person. I'm
So
gonna
she-
leave the money."
She
Yeah.
throws the money over her shoulder and she's like, "Here, thank you, sorry, bye."
Yeah. She like, but it's so funny because she literally throws it at him like he's trash. Like she
Yeah.
literally has like a bundle of like ones, and she tosses
Well,
it
no,
at
I mean,
him.
she just stole something and, like, she's scared, so I would just throw that fucking money, too, and be out of there.
But this
That's
guy's
fair.
not chasing after her.
She doesn't know that. She doesn't have eyes in the
makes-
back of her.
he
head. She just lunged at her.
He's preoccupied with his very over-exaggerated pratfall that he just did.
he makes-
Don't bring up Chris Pratt right now.
No, that's not what I was doing.
That's another horror show we can talk about.
That's an episode of Goosebumps in reality.
He's a great guy, guys.
He's like petrified after he misses her once.
Yep.
And he's just staring at her like, oh, as she's running out the shop.
Yep.
And then he calmly walks to the shop door after she's gotten out.
Yeah.
He looks at her and he puts up the close sign.
Yeah, the thing is, though, is that this is shot from, like, where she's standing outside the shop, and you can just see him calmly walk up and put this, and it's like, oh, so did you not want the mask? Or maybe it was like a reverse psychology thing?
I'm thinking he wanted her to steal the mask.
Yeah.
I don't remember how this goes,
Yeah,
so
I
this
don't
might
know
be
either.
like the twist.
What if he's like doing some big brain 900 IQ
Play, yeah.
like 3D chess on her
Yeah,
ass?
4D even.
Fucking maybe even 5.
Oh, I don't know if we can go that high.
You're right.
He's
40.
inventing new dimensions.
I mean, we don't know his powers. He has those masks.
It goes up to 11.
God,
He plays
nice.
11D chess.
Nice.
So then she goes home. She puts on the mask for her party night with Sabrina, where they go trick or treating or whatever. We don't know yet.
It's Halloween.
It's Halloween. They're kids. It's
After
Halloween.
a successful heist.
After a successful heist, and she comes
Halloween
and she comes out and she sees her brother who is wearing the best Spider-Man costume, which is just
man Spider-Man.
Oh right, my bad. Yeah, he's just a spider.
Did we skip over? I forget when she tears up the duck fursuit. Was that
I
early?
think
That's right before.
yeah.
Yeah, she gets home. She's like, I'm gonna be the scariest of them all now, and then she rips them all.
She loads her gun. She rips up the duck costume.
She loads up her AR-15 bump stock and shoots the duck costume.
Yeah, she shoots it to pieces, shredded. And then she puts on the costume, and she runs into her brother, who then she assaults from her room.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Good.
he's like, Carly Beth, is that really you? And she's like, it's more than me, asshole. And then she's like, she takes up the bump stock. No.
All right, yeah. Let's ban it. Okay. Like,
Well, we don't know if we want to ban it. It's my right. It's my right to talk about the bump stock.
So this goes back to like when he surprises her by coming out of her room in her
parallel.
costume.
Yeah.
Flip it around. He has no idea who's coming out of her room in her new costume.
There's no quack. There's no warning.
Yeah, so he's terrified.
I mean, yeah, it's effective. He deserves it, though.
That's
Would
Just
one even
world
say
theory.
that it's like poetry?
Ooh, it rhymes.
It rhymes.
oh, yeah.
Good
yeah.
job, Steven Spielberg.
He's like, that's not you, Carly Beth. And she's like, yeah, it is. And she's like, take off the mask then. And she's like, okay. And she does the most low effort attempt. Of course, it's supposed to be the fact that she actually can't take off the mask.
Look, this girl is probably 13.
Yeah, we shouldn't be
Maybe
criticizing her
first
acting,
acting gig.
but it's bad.
Maybe we should put this on the director.
Right, the director can't direct her how to take off a mask.
So she's pulling with no effort at all.
Yeah, and then she finally manages to get it off. And she's like, look, it's me. And he goes, that's a real scary mask.
He's got like the most, jeez.
Shucks.
Shucks.
To Cary Grant.
Yeah.
That's a real scary man.
Was with a man for his entire life.
It actually is played by Cary Grant.
One of his first roles.
One of his first roles.
In
He's very young.
1994.
In 1994.
Cary Grant Jr.
Cary Grant Jr. Yes. No relation.
But she goes, I mean, that's the point. It's supposed to be scary. So
Right.
she's happy about that. So she goes downstairs.
She's
then.
like, Halloween isn't for babies anymore. And I'm not a baby anymore.
Yeah. And then she goes and she puts on the mask. And we get some very, really, once again, 90s special effects where we see, the mask kind of, shift and mold to, her face. And it becomes more of, a makeup application rather than just, a latex
Before
mask.
it is a mask, yeah.
Yeah. And
now
then
it's makeup.
and then she's like, hell yeah, dude, I'm evil and scary now. And then she walks over to Sabrina's house where she...
Well, not before she gets her bust head that.
Oh,
mom
yeah!
made.
She
And
uses
she
it as
puts it on a stick.
Yeah.
With
some,
a red
red-
apron, it looks like
red
blood,
cloth.
like it's a head on a stick that's bleeding.
Yeah,
I was
she's
okay.
13 and she's already this fucking...
Yeah.
No, I mean, I
just
literally thought of more morbid shit than that when I was 3.
Oh my god.
Do we need to end this podcast right now?
Yeah, I need some help.
But so she takes the head on the stake. She goes to Sabrina's house, But when she's about to enter, because she's like, oh, there's I pronounce you Chuck and Larry. Is it Chuck and Steve? I'm gonna stop making that joke.
Chuck and Steve.
Chuck and Steve. Chuck and Steve. Okay.
It's Chuck E. Cheese.
It's Charles Entertainment Cheese. She sees two guys, and then she goes. That's his full name. Did you know that?
Oh yeah,
Charles Entertainment Cheese.
That's canon.
Anyway,
Didn't Chuck E. Cheese go bankrupt?
Anyway,
hey, I still have my tokens. Those are worth something somewhere.
I'm still planning on going back to redeem them.
But she's about to go up to Sabrina's house and she notices two people in costume. She goes, "Oh my god, it's Chuck and Steve." And so she hides behind a tree and she goes up and she terrorizes these two, people.
she assaults these two.
She assaults them
Chuck and Larry,
which is a common theme. She assaults Chuck and Larry, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And they pull it off, and it's two 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
And she goes, fuck.
She says that. And then the kids are like,
Gosh, you're real scary, lady.
She's like, that looks like a real mask.
Oh, that looks like real skin.
Yeah, and then she's like, you're not the kids I was trying to attack.
scram!
Now,
Get out of here!
Scram, kids!
not before stealing their candy. I don't know if she
I don't
does
think
that.
she does.
We'll just say that she
We
does.
might as
I
well
think
say
she's
she does.
Yeah, she
pretty
steals the
evil.
candy.
That's the point where she becomes less of Carly Beth and more of the mask.
Oh
Yeah.
And she becomes the monster
turning
that she
point
always hated. Yeah,
in her
that's
character.
because I think there subliminally you're supposed to get she kind of enjoyed terrorizing those kids even though they weren't. I now pronounce it Chuck and Larry.
You as the audience want to feel like that her attacking people is right because of all the shit that's happened to her.
They do a lot of
Which is
POV
why
shots.
they have the clown.
Which is why Joaquin Phoenix.
Because they're trying to set up this parallel with Joker.
Yeah. And,
well,
and the meek shall inherit.
Yes.
So she's like, now that I've been stomped on, I'm gonna kill everyone.
you can identify with
she
that.
was the worm in the sandwich, and now she's the one eating the worms in the sandwich.
Well, she was
Wait,
the one
the-
eating the worm. So we don't need to break down this metaphor.
Either way,
my metaphor makes sense. Let's just say that.
either way, you start sympathizing with the mask,
Right.
and not Carly Beth.
This is like the beginning.
That's what the
of
POV shots are for.
This is her descent into the madness.
Beginning of the downward spiral.
Yeah.
One could say.
Yeah.
Gotta figure.
And so she
Nine-Inch
she
Nails
meets
album.
Sabrina, right? Sabrina's all like, "Whoa, you look scary, Carly Beth."
Although I think Sabrina's homemade cat costume, I think it's scarier if I'm being honest.
You thought it was a rat at first.
Well, it looks like a fucking
That's
rat.
why he thought it was
Do we
scary.
know that it is not?
I
thought
Did she say at any point, "Meow, I'm a cat"?
Nobody dresses up as a rat.
Did she quietly go?
Well, after
quack,
the movie
quack?
Ratatouille came out, a lot of people were dressing as rats.
Also, the Nutcracker Ballet.
Who?
The Nutcracker Symphony.
I know what you're talking about.
They got rats.
I don't listen to music.
So anyway, Sabrina's like, "Who is that?" And she's like, "It's me, Carly Beth." And Sabrina's like, "Oh damn, that's so scary." And she's like, "Yeah, you're like the 5th person to iterate that."
She's like, "Fuck, I know."
Yeah, but she's become so much more evil. Like she actually is 10 times more aggressive than she was at the beginning. At the beginning, she's like, "I'm not scared," and now she's like, "Give me your candy, fuckers."
Now she's like, "Yeah, let's go." She doesn't even want to trick or treat anymore. Sabrina's like, "Oh, you still want to scare them?" And she's like, "Yeah."
This is a classic story of hubris. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a very Icarus Daedalus type narrative.
She's flying a little too close to the sun.
Right. She's getting too confident in the mask.
Yeah.
The mask is a mask for her confidence.
And so that's kind of where the episode ends. It's with Sabrina going,
Is that real skin, Carly Beth? It looks like real skin.
and she touches it, and she's like,
Oh, it feels like real skin.
But that kind of gets Carly Beth to freak out because
Yeah.
I think the little part of Carly Beth in there is like, "Oh shit, the mask's taken over."
Yeah, it's finally that moment where Carly Beth and the mask bridge over and become one. Mm-hmm. It's they think that's the whole idea where she can't take off the mask and it's molding to her face is that she
It's
is
her
not.
skin.
It's becoming. It feels like skin because it is her skin.
Oh god, that's so deep.
Yeah.
Jesus
R.L.
Christ.
Stein was on some fuck
Wow,
shit.
this show.
and so Sabrina's like, Carly Beth, you're scaring me. And she starts fucking shaking Carly Beth.
Just like her mother did when she was
Just like her
asking
mother.
if she was okay.
But like more violent.
More violently, yeah. And literally the video, the episode ends with Carly Beth just vigorously shaking like,
and then to be continued.
And then to be continued. Like, okay. It's like those memes where it's like, boom, boom, boom. And it's literally just her getting shaken.
I love her. So this concludes part 1 of The Haunted Mask. Yes. Thank you all very much for joining us on the inaugural episode of the... Well, I'll insert the podcast name here when we come up with it.
Yeah, insert title. We'll just call it Untitled.
With the boys.
Untitled Deadpool sequel.
Untitled Deadpool sequel. Untitled Bumps. Dash. Goose Boys. Bumpy Boys.
If you enjoyed, check in next week.
Should we just like...
Let's do this like weekly, maybe.
Yeah. Sounds like
maybe
a good
we
plan.
could, yeah.
We'll do that.
We'll figure this out.
We'll figure it out.